right, y'all, welcome back for part 2 in the JMT training series. Stick around to the end of the video because I have a really good bonus tip that I think you'll enjoy and has made a difference in not only my hiking, but also my trail running progress. Number one, right off the bat, we need to make sure that we're training to be on our feet for hours a day. One of the ways that I did this without having to hike every single day for hours and hours and hours was I started trail running, okay? So this helped me in a bunch of different ways. Number one, obviously it strengthened the ligaments and the joints in my legs, right? Because I'm not hiking, I'm actually running, so I'm pounding those joints, right? And so in my mind, it kind of simulates the fact that I would be wearing like a 30, 35 pound backpack, right? And that pressure on the joints would be equivalent to maybe if I'm running on them. And it's actually probably more if you're running on them. Second thing with this was that trail running teaches you to break down your mileage. So instead of looking at a 10-mile run as 10 miles, you look at it as a couple 2-mile runs. You know how, if you've been running, you know what a 2-mile run feels like. So if you look at it as a couple, just a few 2-mile runs, every time you hit that 2-mile mark, my brain gets a little hit of dopamine and it keeps making me go to the next 2. Aside from that, like I said, it's just efficiency. When I trail run, I can, do a 10-mile hike that would take me, I don't know, 5 hours. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I don't know how long it would take. Yeah, probably 5 hours or a little bit less. I can do a trail run in 2 hours. So it's all about like being smart with your time. So if I can cut that in half, I can cut that into a quarter. That's gonna save me time to do other things, get my resupplies ready, do my strength training. Now the other thing that you might wanna put in there are weighted walks. So I did this with a hunting bag that I had and it's designed to carry meat. So I threw weight in there and every week basically I put a different amount of weight in there. I increased the weight. And really all I did was, I simply just walked the dogs with this. And so I did it twice a day. I would walk a mile with it. Now, the one thing that I would do differently is I walk just basically flat surfaces with this. And while I think it kind of simulated the fact that at least my pack was going to be heavy, right? So when I actually threw on my pack with my bear canister and my 8.5 days of food to VVR, it kind of felt normal. Besides that, I don't think it really helped my legs all that much. So find elevation instead of just doing a flat surface. Now, the final thing, and I think, again, one of the most critical components of this, and it doesn't really have to do so much with conditioning as it has to do with basically doing a dress rehearsal of your hike. Now, what do I mean by that? So what hikers call this is a shakedown hike. And a shakedown hike just simply means that you're going on some sort of hike and you're gonna simulate what you're gonna be going on in the future. So what are the benefits to that? So number one, you have increased confidence in your gear, okay? So you're gonna know what works when you go on these hikes and you're gonna know what doesn't work. You're gonna be able to get rid of things, and that's why it's called the shakedown. So you're shaking it down and you're trying to get rid of redundant pieces of gear. So like when I went on some of my shakedowns, I did the Muir Trail, a few overnighters, I did a circumnavigation of Three Finger Jack. I realized there was a couple pieces of gear that I just really didn't use that much. And so I got rid of my ground sheet and a couple other things. Dial in your food so you'll know if I'm out for this many hours in a day and I'm hiking this long, this is kind of how many calories that I'm needing. Because it's kind of hard to really predict that if you've never done it before. So when you go on the JMT and you might be packing extra calories that you don't need, extra weight, you might be packing not as much. So this really can enhance and dial in your food system as well. The other thing is the SAID principle, right? So specific adaptations to impose demand. You want to be doing specific movements that are that you're going to be using later, okay? So you're going to be hiking with a pack, you're going to be doing everything that you would normally do on a hike, right? Yeah, it's hard to beat that. So my bonus tip, ever since I switched from hiking boots to ultra trail runners, I have seen a significant lessening in not only my leg fatigue when I go on a hike, but also the fact that my feet and my ankles and my calves have gotten stronger. And this is due to the fact that they are a zero drop shoe. So what do I mean by that? Your typical hiking boot, or really any kind of shoe, has a, what would that be called? Gap here, or has this space, right? So if you can see, if you drew a straight line here, this is higher than this part, right? So that is like the heel to toe drop or whatever. So with this, I don't know what it is, but you can see it's not flat. This back heel is a little bit larger than it is up front. Ultra Trail Runner, they are zero drop, which means it is flat and it's the same the whole way through. Okay, so you see the difference there? What does this mean? So when you're wearing a Ultra Trail Runner or any kind of zero drop shoe, you're going to be using more of your natural foot position. So it's going to strengthen your calves. It's going to strengthen your feet. It feels more natural. It takes a little bit of time to get used to because in our civilized culture, we're used to that heel to toe drop. And so it takes a little bit of time getting used to, but long term, what I have figured out is that it's really strengthened the heck out of my calves. It's really strengthened the heck out of my feet, which I think has done a lot to prevent some of those common injuries that might occur. Okay, guys, that is a wrap for part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. And hey, have a great time on the JMT. Can't wait to hear your guys' stories on it. Thanks.